us why Cambodia is the next hotspot for healing and spiritual retreats.
It's interesting if you look back in history, Cambodia, especially the northern part, it's always been very, very famous, renowned internationally for healing. So they found a lot of information back in, let's say, the days of King 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗪 VII. There were over 100 temples dedicated to healing, and they had healing techniques that resemble like acupuncture, resemble energy healing that we now know, like Reiki, etc. Nutrition, herbs from traditional Chinese medicine as well. So there were many, many people that would actually come to Siem Reap, to Cambodia, in order to learn about new techniques for healing. And that spiritual vibrational energy is still here. So people who are very much doing that as a living and healing people, they come to Cambodia, they come to our resort, and they tell us, they say, wow, the level of vibrational energy here is just amazing. I've heard from people who typically go to Himalayas for very specific energy spots. They say that this energy level here in Cambodia is just at the same level or even higher. So yeah, I think it's only just a matter of time. People are going to start finding out about this and coming back to the pure origin of vibrational energy. And it's not just a coincidence, because when the first settlements were actually in tribute of Vishnu who rules the Mount Meru. And if you look at Mount Culinary, which is just about an hour away from where we are, the whole mountain is just really embraced by this high energy level, high vibration energy level. And we have people who do meditation sessions here that are just raving about the link, the spiritual link that you can reach by just meditating and doing what you do as a healer. So yes, I think it's going to be great as more people know about it. We also have people who are very familiar with like Thailand as a destination. Really love the fact that it's still so pure and untouched, Cambodia. It's kind of off the beaten path for many. Many go to Vietnam, to Thailand, to other areas around Cambodia. But Cambodia is kind of always a little bit forgotten. And that leaves Cambodia as a very, very pure, untouched destination. And you can go to these spiritual places and these temples, these beautiful temples, and feel the energy there, almost like you're alone. So it's people compare it to like when Thailand started its ascent as a wellness destination in the 90s, and it still had that pureness to it, that untouched pureness. And the people who were so genuine and so pure. That's all available here in Cambodia. So it was a big enlightenment for me to be here when I first came. And it's been amazing to many others who visited us.
And you were telling me that the roots they come from India and Hinduism, but there's also Buddhism that coexist there.
Yeah, it's a very interesting evolution. So initially it was definitely Hindu, and it's all the way up to King 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗪 VII. You're talking 1100, 1200, that he was influenced by his queen. So he first married the queen, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗘𝗓𝗓𝗓, I think it was. And then her sister, Indradevi, they were both instrumental in changing his perspective from Hinduism to Buddhism. And there was a very interesting evolution. And now, primarily Buddhism here in Cambodia, but it's interesting how you could see that transition from Hinduism to Buddhism. You can actually see it in the temples as well as you visit the temples here. Many, many beautiful temples. You see how in the carvings, you see in some cases coexistence. In some cases, you see evolution from one religion to another. So that in itself is a very interesting transformation that you can still witness up to this day.
Mm. And how did Buddhism work its way in there?
How did Buddhism work its way in there? That's probably because of the queens who had been, in their words, enlightened by the societal balance that Buddhism offers. And you still see that here. So if you look at it from a society perspective, there's a very high karmatic way of living where people are very very content with what they have, very, very happy to share, very focused in making sure they don't do anything that they wouldn't want to have done to themselves, and like really big belief in karmatic behavior, and just genuine friendliness, happiness, contentment that still embraces the society, which makes it a very safe society. So I don't think I've ever been in such a safe place as I am right now. You can just walk the street even as a woman alone, late at night without anything happening. So it's a very interesting way. And if you look at the two queens, they had this vision of a perfect society. They were actually the first to have the vision of free healthcare for all. The Khmer Empire at that time was the first real known national healthcare system, with a big focus on preventive medicine. So there was a big focus on education, free education, nutrition, exercise, and free hospitals, free doctors. So all very enlightened principles to build the ideal society. And I think they saw Buddhism as a foundation of that society, to make sure that everyone could live in peace and harmony. And that was also one of the most beautiful periods in the whole empire. And the king actually continued to live old age, 96, which is quite old in that day. So it must have been a really good implementation.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds really amazing and safe. That's really important when you're traveling, just making sure that you're going to a place that's safe. And so how does all of that history influence 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧, which is the retreat, the wellness center?
Yeah, well, that's a tribute to the founder, the owner of 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧. Her name is Elaine Yun. So she was in the war, I think 4 years in the war, and then she escaped to Australia as a refugee. And then later came back to Cambodia, started a business, and then launched actually several businesses, but also non-profit organizations. She also launched 2 schools, by the way, 2 schools, one in Phnom Penh, one in Siem Reap. And 10 years ago, had the vision of building a wellness resort when nobody was really talking about wellness. So she had the vision of having a place of healing where people could reconnect to source, and where other healers could come together with workshops and seminars to share their knowledge, both to aspiring practitioners, aspiring healers, but also people in need to reconnect to source. People are just need a break from the wild world and just re-energize, reconnect to source, and heal. And then now, November last year is when everything became reality. Everything was manifested to the fullest, and we became fully operational. And so far, the reviews has been, they've been off the charts in terms of warm, genuine, heartfelt compliments and making people feel good. And retreats, every retreat organizer so far has already booked a second stay for next year. So it's really the recurring retreat opportunities, because people seem to love it here. Not just 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧, but the whole area here, Siem Reap, is just a wonderful place to come and reconnect.
Yeah, because it's how close is it to Angkor Wat?
Yeah, so we're just 10 minutes away. So we have that same energetic level that you feel at the temples. And I guess that's also what the people feel when they come to the resort. They feel they're kind of embraced by the vibrational energy and by the ancient magic or mystical magic that's still hovering around the area here. Even if you go to Mount Kulin, which is not too far away, you even still have that Mount Meru feeling that many people rave about. And it makes it just a wonderful place. And we seem to be the cherry on the cake.
Yeah. And you were telling me it was really cool about like the energy lines and how all the temples kind of intersect right at where the resort is, and like where you had placed the Buddha without even knowing. Yeah,
we could spend a whole hour on that. Just that topic. It's so interesting. Yeah. When I first came here 10 months ago, I really felt this energetic. I'm not an energy healer, so I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I do feel there is something here. There's like a warmth, a feeling of embrace. And you have that at the temples as well. And I told Elaine, hey, let's have a study done and see where this comes from. So we checked with a few people, and a few people run a study. And turns out that this whole area of Siem Reap has a very high level of energetic fields. Like if you go into the concept of biogeometry looks at the Earth as an ecosystem of energy lines, magnetic lines, and a bit like the meridian system in your body. The meridian system is an energy system that then also interconnects the different chakras. So the concept here is that the Earth creates a livable ecosystem for the species, for nature and the species, in order to allow for species to evolve and to survive. And that whole system is embraced by the system of meridians, also referred to by the Chinese thousands of years ago. They wrote about that as well. They call it the dragon lines, the energy lines. Back in 18th, 19th century in Europe, we start calling it the ley lines. And if you look at important buildings or constructions like cathedrals are all built on spots where these energy lines or Curie lines or Hartmann lines or magnetic lines actually, where some of these lines interconnect and create what they call vortices. And what they believed is that if you build a spiritual place where people come together to pray or to meditate, that building the place of worship on this area actually helps people to reconnect to sourceful energy and reconnect to purpose and reconnect to consciousness. And it's that whole concept of meridians that apparently, and the chakra, apparently there are some sites worldwide that are really X marks the spot for some of those chakras. And that's where you have that whole concept of energy lines that create the perfect ecosystem. And then since we're so close, we actually have some of those lines actually converge at the resort itself, which is tremendous for people. Like we have people come here to do like energetic Qigong workshops, or they do energy healing workshops, and they can actually work. We even hand out dowsing rods to guests that they can actually follow the lines here at the resort and around. So it's interesting because I'm not very familiar with that whole domain, and for me it was all very new in the beginning. But then when you look into it, this whole concept of looking at these lines before you build something was common practice back then. We just forgot about that. It's like now people look at feng shui and they look at, it's not just how you create the perfect living environment, but it's also where you physically are located on this earth, which has a very important impact on your well-being and your experience. So way back, people knew that, and they would use techniques like dowsing rods and pendulums to find out where these energy lines are, just like they would know where the waterways are. And that's something that people have physically proven. You can actually establish where waterways are by using dowsing rods and pendulums. So it all kind of sounds very magical and mystical for people from our generation. But when you look into it, it was actually just common sense, a common building principle. Just make sure that you build your important building in the right spot. So that's why these important monuments, also like the pyramids in Egypt or Stonehenge, or all those mythical places, they're just not randomly built somewhere. They're really built on the beating heart of very strong, energetic locations to benefit the people who come there to meditate or for spiritual enhancement.
Yeah. I mean, just like right now, I mean, I'm clearly facing the sun or it's facing me. And I mean, like you said, it sounds very magical. It sounds very woo-woo, something that sounds nice, but doesn't really have any spiritual or scientific evidence to back it up. But if you think about putting something in the line of the sun, I can feel the sun. I mean, first of all, you can see it on my face, and then I can feel the heat. And there is something happening. And regardless of whether or not I believe it, there are ultra rays and there are other things that I can't see or maybe even experience happening because it's right where it is right now. It's the same thing.
Yeah, like with the moon. You now know that the moon has certain impacts on things happening here on Earth. So before, it was also really weird to understand, and how the sun impacts our life here on Earth as well, beyond just the heat that it provides. So there's definitely powers that we can't really easily just register like we register stuff that we can see and feel. And I think that's the whole evolution you see, like the whole concept of spiritual tourism is definitely up on the rise. So we're also looking into the whole concept of guides. So we're building our own concept of guides, where we look more towards the spiritual side, not just the historic elements or historic facts, but actually how people used to live and how they used to meditate, how they used spiritual environment to the most optimal advantage. And people are interested in that. It's like they are so used to everything you see and feel and touch, this, let's say, the sensory illusion that we live in, that people want to just escape out of that for a moment and think more, be kind of initiated more into the spiritual side of life. Doesn't mean they suddenly become yogis and live on top of the mountain or in a cave, but it's just people are more open to complement their current life, their normal, let's say, mainstream life with new insights. And that's why Cambodia is such a beautiful place, because you can have all the comfort of the West that you're used to. You can still have all your wonderful access to internet and everything you're used to. You have comfort of staying in great location, but then also being open up to more spiritual experiences that you don't typically have at home. And that makes your holiday just more worthwhile, or retreat
what about,
more.
because I mean, we can see and we can feel, like you mentioned, but then there's the results. Like you were telling me that people who stay at 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧 are like, they sleep better. They have experience there that they can't explain, that it must be the energy or something.
Yeah, and we like to see it actually in the results. Like typically in hospitality, you don't often have people extending their stay. But now we're looking at over 25% of bookings extend their stay with a few days, which means that they really feel there's this source of energy that really benefits them. And it's not just their sleep is better, but they are like the dreams. They say that have such wonderful dreams and that they really feel so relaxed. And I really heard a few people mention the concept of reconnecting to source and really feeling energized, and to the point that they really feel the location has made such a big impact. And then also just going to the temples, and all those temples, there's so many temples that were focused on healing, also give back a very interesting energy source that makes people just not just energetically more alive, but also just more relaxed, more in tune. It's interesting. If you remember the game Tetris, where you have to see how the things drop and then you got to move them around to make sure they fit together in the pieces. And the first thing I noticed coming here and just working, because I've been in corporate life all my life, very busy, just launching startups for over 25 years. So all about control. And I felt that living here, it's like you're playing Tetris on level 1 or level 0. The pieces just fall into place without really having to move that much. And you have so many serendipity moments where you meet people by chance, and that meeting leads to another encounter. Before you know it, it impacts your business or impacts other people's lives in a positive way. So there's this natural flow, which people typically talk about in spiritual ways, which is actually very noticeable in practice, in very day-to-day life experiences and business in general. So yeah, it's a special place, definitely a special place.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I find it to be very serendipitous that you and I met, because I've been connecting with a lot of people just either by word of mouth or through people I already know, or Facebook and Instagram. And I found my way to 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧 on LinkedIn, which I have not connected with any other retreat people on LinkedIn. It's just so random. And then the algorithm just kept feeding me your page. And it was just like, talk to them. And I was like, okay, let's send them a message.
Yeah, that's interesting. We have that a lot. Like we just had a retreat of 100 people, an enlightening, awakening retreat. I had just met the father of one of the organizers just by chance here for an evening dinner. And he said, oh, you should meet my daughter. She's running a nonprofit, and they help people for self-development and reach higher level of let's say, contentment, enlightenment as well. She would love your retreat. And then I meet with them, and they just on the spot decided, wow, yeah, this is it. We've never been to Cambodia. We've done retreats in Bali. We've done them in Mexico, and I mean, so many places. Let's go to Cambodia. And now everybody was here, and they're all saying, oh, this is the best retreat ever. This is so amazing. And And they're just thanking us for connecting with them. And it's just like, and meeting all these wonderful people, and they're interconnecting with others, and everything's just happening like just magical without having to control everything like you're used to.
I love when that happens. That's amazing. And what about you? How did you end up involved in all of this?
That's a good question. So as I said, I've been in business all my life. I've always been involved from the earliest moment. I think my first startup was an internet provider before internet was a thing. But then always high tech. I was doing big data before it was a thing. I was in AI before it was a thing. I launched businesses in the US, in Europe, and always business, zero spirituality. And my dad actually, when he retired, started working for NGOs, building schools. And when he reached the age of just being too old for an NGO, he decided, I'm going to build my own school, just use my own money and build an own school, which he did in Siem Reap, where we are here. And he asked me to come and help him because he never built something from scratch himself. And he said, hey, can you help me build the business plan and help me set things up and make sure I do the right thing from the start? So I did that, came over here. Met Elaine for the first time. That was July 2023. And by chance, met the owner of the resort and helped her with some e-commerce projects she was doing. She was actually launching the platform called 𝗪𝗠𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧, which is a platform of connecting healers, practitioners with people looking for a cure or looking for a medical or healing solution.
Oh, so she did that first before the resort launched.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But many things she does are also just almost by chance interweaving each other at a later time. So it's also very serendipitous. So it's interesting. So I met her and I helped my dad. I helped her. February last year, I was invited again by my dad because he broke even with the schools. Everybody happy. So I went over and met Elaine again. And then she said, hey, I'm launching the wellness business here. Wellness is a totally new concept in Cambodia. Can you please help me shape the narrative, position it, run the businesses, and just basically launch this? And I had just signed up. A great job. Mobile app security company, so advanced tech, which I really love. Running a team in Boston and in Brussels. And I had to think about it for a moment, but then I thought, hey, I had also during COVID, I had decided to go back to school. So I actually got a degree in traditional Chinese medicine and shiatsu as well. So I did night school and day school. And I really got very interested in the ability of self-healing, that we have this ability inside of us to self-heal, which we kind of lost touch with. And then I get this opportunity that Elaine presented to me and building out this concept of wellness, which is very much in the healing space and the practitioners. I thought, oh, this is maybe time. I'm going to have of my life, just kind of crossroads. So I thought, yeah, let's devote the second part of my life to a more spiritual journey. And every single day I learn more things, get more insights, talk to very interesting people who share their knowledge. I've also been miraculously introduced to healing techniques I've never heard of that really you can feel the impact. So I'm really happy I took that decision and really helping build out this resort and meeting all these wonderful people. And also these retreats. Every time you have a retreat here and all those people come in, you feel positive energy and this. It's almost like you totally forget everything bad that's going on in the world today, and you have this rediscovered sense of joy and belief that people are strong enough to turn the tide, and that you can create this positive wave that the earth needs so badly these days. So it's it gives you hope for a better future.
Yeah. Wow. My cover is failing me. Hang on a second. I'm using my X-rays to block this. What a great story, and just evolution of working in tech and now moving over into hospitality and then like studying Chinese medicine. That's really cool. And I was gonna say, when you said it helps you not think so much about all the bad that's going on in the world. And some people might think that that's living in a unrealistic bubble. But I think that it's actually, from my perspective, like you said, I think the world needs more of this. And when you can live like that and embrace that and be that, you are cultivating the spread of that. And as more people come and share in that experience with you and take that back home with them, it's not that you're living in a bubble and ignoring the bad. It's that you're focusing on what you want to grow. You're focusing on the good and the joy, on the love and the peace, so that can become, like you said, hopefully become bigger. And I guess that's the goal for a lot of us.
Yeah, the biggest realization for me has been the fact that it's just amazing how much power we have within. Not just, I'm talking about healing power, but just spiritual power, the power to actually feel good and create positive change. Because when you're just living day to day, like I remember my day-to-day jobs and basically working in the West, you're all focused on control. And you try to create power by controlling your environment. And in the meantime, you're surrounded by a lot of negative things going on around your environment. And you have this sense of dependency, like you are weak as an individual. It's difficult to go against the tide. The tide is against you. If you follow media, etc., it's almost, you feel like this sense of helplessness that you can't control who's in charge, and people in charge are all messing things up. And things are going bad. And then you get sick and you got to go to the hospital and you got to put your future in the hands of other people that you don't know, and all these uncertainty and fears. And it's like you have this sense of helplessness, that we're too weak, that we don't have enough power that comes from within to really create your own destiny and make choices for yourself and really change your life around. And it's interesting when you're then here and you're meeting these people day to day, and you're seeing the power of some of these practitioners and healers and how they influence and make people well again just in front of your eyes, and how people react to it, and then how people discover the power within. And there's so many interesting books written about the power that we have as human beings, but we kind of lost touch with it and kind of rendered ourselves to these more helpless, or let's say dependent on the environment we live in. And that's that aspect gives me a lot of hope for the future, is that when you see that, then you recognize how powerful we actually are as human beings. And it just takes a little bit of a ignition to ignite that flame and really be your true self and take charge of your own destiny, and kind of let go of that helplessness. And I know it kind of sounds maybe a bit too optimistic just coming right now as I just casually tell you about it, but it just takes meeting a few people and seeing what they can do to make a change, that you realize that, yeah, it is true. And then you start looking in yourself and you start understanding yourself better. You're understanding also how the ego impacts your thinking, impacts your your actions, how you see an immediate change in how you live when you take a bit more distance from your ego. And it's small insights like that you can just change your whole life around. And that's just my experience only 10 months in. Been amazing. Meeting people at these retreats and seeing these transformations happen. And yeah, it's and you don't even, and this is not a publicity stunt for Cambodia. This is stuff you can start doing from where you live. You can find very interesting people if you just look around in your neighborhood that have made a difference in people's lives. Thanks to internet, you can find Google reviews, you can find all kinds of reviews, and you can kind of vet the good people from the not so good people. And I just urge anyone to just search out and try some things like breath work, try some things like energy healing, or just acupuncture. I've had many people in my environment that are just so blessed to have found acupuncture to take away pain or even long-term illnesses. So that openness and rediscovering, reconnecting with the power within really gives back this feeling of faith, that positive thinking, and that the future is bright, and we can actually take control of our own future, even though it doesn't feel like it when you live your day-to-day life.
Yeah, but the only thing you can control is you. So as long as you change you, then you're doing your part.
Exactly. There's only one person in the world that decides how you feel. That's yourself. Mm-hmm. And again, thanks to internet and thanks to all kinds of new methods of travel and finding new people, if you take a little bit of time to look into it, you can actually change your life around. And if you don't feel that great right now, it doesn't have to be that way. And there's people out there that can help you and that can really put you on the new path.
Yeah. I always
And
like to say
that's
it's always, well, it's not my quote, but I like to quote the quote that says it's always darkest before the dawn. It's the darkness is necessary for the light to emerge. So don't fear the darkness either. Just a little. Yeah.
no, and it's also interesting. It can be very practical and balanced. Like in my background is absolutely super mainstream, very corporate business focused. And it's not like I totally turned into a hermit on a mountain at all. I mean, I still use all the techniques I've learned in my day-to-day business. I still have the same perspectives of enjoying life I did before. So it's not like I totally changed my whole life behind, but I just really learned a lot from meeting new people and giving me new insights, and just being a bit more open towards that has really helped me a lot. So I think that's a good. I think that's basically a good advice for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Be open.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about the energetic and spiritual influence and power in Cambodia and in Angkor Grace as a result of like all the intersecting of things. We did not talk about this, and I'm curious to know about the food. How's the food?
Yes, the food. The food is very interesting. So there's something, maybe it's because it's still so pure, let's say that's fertile grounds. So I actually find myself eating a lot less here. I think there's much more quality of nutrition inside of the foods. First of all, foods are all very fresh. They've got very diverse offer of different foods. I mean, you can find even avocados here. You can coffee beans, vanilla beans, chocolate beans, all kinds of fruits, vegetables. So there's an enormous offer.
Wow.
The grounds are very fertile. But then the energetic level in the foods is amazing. And then, like if you're into vegan or vegetarian, it's just wonderful having all these choices, and also the cuisine is very rich and diverse and very creative as well. So it's really, we get super good feedback on how inspirational the food, how nutritious the food is, and how it gives people a lot of energy without eating that much. So yeah, absolutely, the food is amazing, and also so it's like farm to table and the herbs. It's really very unusual to have that kind of level and the freshness of it all. And like here at the resort, we have like three restaurants, and they serve different foods. They have food, typically for vegan lovers, vegetarian, keto as well. So we have very good, interesting choices for meat as well, and all very well prepared with herbs and also very nice sauces as well. So not really something you would expect from Cambodia, but very creative and very natural kitchen.
I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm already like salivating, thinking of all the fruits and the colors and the sauces. I feel like a sauce, if you can make a really good sauce, it just makes a dish.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It does. And of course, also the soups, really nice soups as well. So, and all very wholesome food, but also very refined. So we have, for instance, an interesting menu. We call it Culinary Adventure in Cambodia, where you actually see the primary, most important, most representative dish of every province. And you can actually serve that. And the way it's served and how it's presented makes you feel like you're in a Michelin star restaurant. So the attention to detail, how to present the foods, which is a big surprise to many guests who come who think that Cambodia is still kind of almost like an underdeveloped country where you can hardly get standard food, let alone that kind of a richness of nutrition, but also richness of presentation and eye for detail. So let's say the amazement when people come and they tell us about their expectations and what they actually see and experience is just very, very far apart. And people are so overjoyed that they almost immediately book a second trip to come through. Because there's so much more to see. Because once you just start enjoying the temples, there's also a very wonderful coastal region, a region also very beautiful islands as well, which remain practically undiscovered. So yeah, I think Cambodia is going to definitely be a hit in the next in years to come as people start discovering the purity and the beauty and the richness of everything, including the foods.
And I saw you also have a spa on site.
Yes, we do, a spa. And also a Japanese onsen. So we have like a Japanese style bathhouse with,
wow.
with the 3 pools. You have like a cold plunge pool, and you have the medium, you have the hot pool. So you can do intermediate, intermittent. So it's really very much according to Japanese protocol. You also have saunas, steam rooms. So yeah, it's really very unique in its source here in Cambodia to have both the spa from both beauty and also healing. So all the therapists in our spa are actually healing therapists. So they are healers in the ancient traditional art of 𝗕𝗨𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗨𝗦, which is comparable to shiatsu or Ayurvedic techniques. But it's the true Cambodian healing that really, think of it like they can perform like a body scan and understand where the body has like certain blockages, energetic or even structural. And then they can work on the body and rebalance it, similar to what you see with TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, where you give energy back to certain organs that are out of balance. And therefore you come out of those sessions totally rejuvenated. And we had, fantastic, miraculous cases we had one athlete, she was a triathlete, and she had been diagnosed with an ankle problem. Couldn't train for at least 8 weeks. Spent time with 6 doctors in the West, and then just had 1 session at our spa. And the next day she was running again, and the pain had totally disappeared. And apparently it was something related to her hip and nothing at all to do with her ankle. So it's things like that, where just having a different perspective, a different insight, coming from a practice that is thousands and thousands years old, really generates some very miraculous healings.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. And yeah, it's crazy how in the West, I'm not going to generalize because I know there are some good doctors out there, but it's very rare that they focus on the root and understand how everything in the body is connected. And just because this specific thing hurts doesn't mean it's coming from this specific thing. You kind of have to follow the trail back to where, I've been having issues with my shoulder, and then someone told me, oh, shoulders are related to the spleen. And I remember when I was doing acupuncture, the guy told me, you got to work on your spleen. And I was like, so random. Whoever thinks about their spleen, and I was just trying to make my shoulder better. So it's, that's amazing. I'm always amazed by Eastern medicine and Chinese medicine and things like that.
Yeah, so the vision we have at the resort is definitely what we call a 360 holistic perspective. So we actually have also a Western clinic with like Swiss doctors and like pure like traditional Western medicine. And then we have specialists in 𝗕𝗨𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗨𝗦. We have specialists in Ayurvedic medicine, specialists in Chinese medicine. And we do full 360 assessments of people. And we have information, data we get from the Western side, which is very interesting and very important. And we have techniques we use, whatever technique is the most purposeful for the patient. And it seems to just resonate with patients. They really love it to have those different perspectives. Also, what they say is that they're not used to having so much time spent on them to get to learn more about them as a person, and also with the ailment they have or the history of the ailment. I think the biggest problem probably in the West is that there's not enough time. Everything moves so fast. So you can't think it's more and more difficult to spend the necessary time with the patient to really get to know the patient from a more holistic perspective, and then follow up and propose different angles to the treatment. It's very time consuming, but it gives better results. So yeah, we are big believers in a more holistic 360 approach, embracing Western medicine, of course, but also complementing it with the more traditional ancient techniques that have been around for thousands and thousands of years.
I love that, the balance and the blend. And so for retreats, is this Like if I wanted to host a retreat there, are there packages that include not just the accommodations, but also access to specific treatments in the spa or the chef? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we take retreats very seriously. So we have what we call retreat ambassadors, and they will have calls with the retreat organizer, and they will create a program for the retreat organizer. A whole program that includes services, everything services at the resort, but also outside the resort. Like for instance, we can set up special sessions at sunrise, at special locations, special temples where you can do special yoga sessions. Or we also did a wonderful event with crystal bowl sound healing. So the crystal bowls that make this beautiful frequency sounds that are used for healing and meditation. So we did a wonderful session at one of the old temples at sunrise. So we can really fit together a full program, both on the resort, outside the resort, and give tremendous value for everyone who's at the retreat based on what the retreat organizer thinks is going to be valuable for their audience. And we already have a lot of interesting connections to make things happen, beautiful experiences. Like we call it the sacred sounds on 𝗕𝗨𝗧𝗏. So it's like 𝗕𝗨𝗧𝗏 is one of the biggest rivers here, lakes here at Southeast Asia. And the only lake that I know of, I think, that actually changes tide in the middle of the year. And it's such a spiritual place. So we take a beautiful old, beautifully restored old cruise boat, with just a few people, like 30 people max. And then we play crystal bowls on the boat with actually yogic chanting as well, accompanying the sound of the crystal bowl. So we do that sunset, and it's just beautiful as the sun sets and it starts dark, and you have the sound of the crystal bowls, the sound of the singing, and people in meditation, kind of enjoying the relaxing last moments of the day. It's experience like that people go on holiday for, and that they feel moved by experiences, and that's what we do. So we propose experiences like that. We work with the retreat organizers to put together a package that's gonna really impact their people, their audience, that they go away with a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. And what about can you work with people who maybe they have a chef that they work with that they want to bring with them, or different facilitators? Like, can you?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, so from a retreat perspective, we can offer you a full package where you don't have to do anything as a retreat organizer, but just be there to welcome your group, or be like a host or hostess for your group. And we take care of everything from picking up the people at the airport to just leading the tours, writing guides for the tours, doing the transportation, just A to Z, everything, all the practicalities. So we have people on site, again, the ambassadors that take care of everything. So that's like zero worry, zero concern. We even do the marketing for you. We actually help you with marketing the event. We have a very strong digital marketing experience and presence that we can leverage for your resort experience. But then the other angle, where you have, let's say you are a yoga instructor, or you have yoga instructors in your community, or you have special chefs that can create fantastic dishes that cater for your specific audience or dietary requirements. We have a wonderful kitchen facility that we can open up to you and make available. So yeah, absolutely. So from fully everything organized to more, let's just using only the infrastructure that we provide, that full line of possibilities is available.
That's great. We forgot to mention, and I think this is really important. I saw that 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧 is a 5-star wellness resort.
Yes. And
that's amazing.
And a very high score at like if you look at Booking.com, second year in a row we're at 9.6 out of 10. So the hotel has been in business now for just over a year. And then all the services came alive November last year. But just only for the let's say the hotel services alone, we're at a very high standard in terms of feedback, guest feedback, and comfort. We even have like 2 biopools, one for kids and one for adults. We have We
Oh,
have
there's kid spaces there?
yes. We also have we actually have a kids wellness center. So this is not your regular like kids club at the hotel. This is like with activity rooms, with playgrounds, with even have like a full-blown kitchen for cooking classes. We have drama performance classes. We have a whole nursery as well for very, very, very young children. So families with young and older children, they can use all the facilities. We have babysitting services. So we have a full team of 10 experienced certified nannies as well. So we take very, very seriously. And then we also have special activities, outdoor activities that we organize. So families with children are very well taken care of. But we also have like a fantastic gym performance center. So we have a gym performance center with top equipment from 𝗕𝗨𝗠𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗨𝗦, Italian brand 𝗕𝗨𝗠𝗘𝗧, all the latest equipment. We have a spinning room. We even have a virtual golf simulator with the latest tech where you can practice your golf swings and get immediate training feedback. We have another level which has its own boxing ring. So championship size boxing ring for our martial arts. So we have martial arts training like 𝗕𝗚𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗧𝗏 Cambodian boxing and other martial arts, traditional French and English boxing as well. Very popular with women, actually. Many groups are now fully women. They really get into the boxing, really love doing boxing.
Yeah.
And so several levels of that in the big gym. And then we have our own yoga center with 3 big shalas and big community space and breakout rooms. So we can really host a full-blown, the biggest, like big yoga retreat where we offer things like aerial yoga as well. We have facilities for aerial yoga. We can do sonic yoga with the crystal poles, and it's then we have the Japanese bathhouse with the spa premises. So yeah, it's definitely it's definitely 5-star, probably even higher.
That's amazing! Wow.
And the biggest rooms in Siem Reap. So we have like 1-bedroom suites are like around 90, 92, 95 square meters. So pretty big. And then you can go up to 5-bedroom townhouses where every bedroom has their own bathroom. So this is great for, let's say you're in like a bigger group. You can actually just get the whole townhouse, and then you get like a beautiful rooftop terrace with a nice penthouse suite and a nice terrace that overlooks the area on sunset and sunrise. Great for doing yoga as well. So yeah, many possibilities. Also becomes very cost efficient. So we can offer retreats for different budgets. Like if you share a townhouse like that, you can really drop the price for your community as well, because it becomes more cost efficient, and everybody still has their privacy because they have their own bathroom as well. So yeah, we offer many options for many budgets.
Well, I'm sold. It sounds like there's really nothing to think about. You guys make it very easy. It's just about making the trip. And how is the trip over there? Eh?
So they opened up a brand new airport like last year, February. It came live. So it's an international airport, real international airport. So they're starting to get flights into there. The easiest connection points into Siem Reap are Bangkok, Singapore, and then one of the cities in Vietnam and Malaysia. Those are kind of the easiest hops into. Like Bangkok is just an hour flight into Siem Reap. Singapore probably, I think 2 hours and a little bit. So it's relatively a small hop into Siem Reap from those neighboring countries. So Bangkok is, I think, the most easiest because they have most of the international flights coming there. The timing is interesting. Timing when to come. Because there's this concept which is unfortunately a bit dated, which is a concept of rainy season. So rain season typically starts around April, just after Khmer New Year, and runs up to, let's say, September-ish. But it actually doesn't rain that much. So when you say rainy season, you think of this curtain of rain every day. But if you look at the monsoon. Yeah, exactly. But actually, most of the rain is towards the evening or during the night. So if you look at hours of sunshine, it's super. I mean, originally, I lived in the States. I lived in Europe. I've seen worse summers in Europe than the rainy season in Cambodia. So it's interesting where people are typically, let's say, misadvised and don't pick a date in rainy season, where actually it's a perfect time to come because there's less people. It's also pleasant to have a little bit of cooling, because when it rains, it's typically for an hour or two. It reminds me of Florida, Jamaica, that kind of a situation.
Okay.
More like Caribbean. Actually, Caribbean probably see more rain than I've seen. So it's a very interesting misconception that people should stay away during rain season. Actually, that's when the flight tickets are cheaper as well. So what I tell retreat organizers is probably a good thing to do is check ticket prices first and try to book your retreat around that, because that's a big part of your retreat price, is trying to get tickets to get there. So you can really be more affordable as a retreat if you plan your trip. And then high season is definitely December, January, February. That's when there's most of the people are here.
Okay. Which is right now.
Which is right now. Yes, this is right now. Yeah, we're fully booked.
That's awesome. Well, is there any other, I mean, we've covered a lot, but is there anything else that we didn't cover that you really want us to know about either Cambodia or 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧?
I'd say just I think I already mentioned it, but the people, every time I see a review or every time I ask people how they feel here, every single time they mention the people, our staff, the people they meet outside, they feel like the people are genuinely interested in doing their job and being at service and being grateful for people to be there. And you can go to many destinations these days where the local people will look at you like you have this dollar sign on your head, and you feel like you're just being targeted for getting money. And that's something they really feel, that people are very purposeful, genuinely happy to help you out and service you. And that's a big part of your experience. A huge part of your experience is the people that you're visiting, the people you're with. And after that, the resorts is one thing, but then also seeing it outside the resort, visiting the temples, or even just walking around in town is just a wonderful feeling, and makes you want to stay longer and gives you a good feeling in humanity as when you go back to your hometown, that it is possible to be around very pleasant human beings that want the best for you.
Well, before I met you, I did not know anything about Cambodia. It wasn't even on my radar. And you just shared so many amazing, beautiful things, magical, spiritual, healing, the people, the food, the temples. And I'm so ready. I'm so ready to go. And I'm pretty sure anybody else who watches this is going to be ready to reach out to you and start building a retreat. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Looking forward to seeing you at 𝗥𝗘𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗧 and your audience as well.